Hi, Ivan. How are you?
Pretty good, Ty. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for asking. And thank you for joining me today.
No problem.
So, tell us a bit about yourself and how you got started as an artist.
Okay. My wife and I were in an art gallery in Montreal, and I spotted this rough aspen bowl, which I was drawn to and bought. I told her that I'd eventually like to do this as a hobby, so she bought me a lathe a couple of years later for my 50th birthday. This is when we were still living in Saskatchewan in Regina. I then joined the South Saskatchewan Wood Turners Guild, met some great people, and was turning bowls. After a while, I finally got the nerve to submit turnings to the Saskatchewan Craft Council and was successful and became a juried artist.
So, what is the current direction of your artistic practice? Like, what themes, ideas, techniques, or materials are you using and are interested in exploring?
Well, okay, with wood turning, okay, it's mainly with wood, but I'm just trying to find my own style of creating. It's nice to see what the pros are doing and trying to duplicate that, but to get something original is key. I've been experimenting with color, leather inlays, metal inlays in some pieces. It's just a lot of exploring and experimenting.
So, what's a leather inlay for the uninitiated? Because I'm not sure I've heard that term before.
Oh, okay, well, if I put a gouge in a bowl or a little tunnel around the bowl, I'll cut a piece of leather and dye it so it fits in there and attach it to it. And I've always liked that mode of creating bowls because it incorporates wood, metal, and leather. And the metal that I use, I'll take copper powder or nickel or brass that I have, and I mix it with epoxy, and I'll put that in the tooling in the bowls. And it turns out nice, but it takes a lot of time, and it just
So
takes.
by just to clarify, so by adding the leather in, it's like adding to the design or to the color of the bowl.
Actually, it's a texture. Hang on, I'll just bring a piece. This is one that I did years ago. This part here, that's the leather inlay.
Oh,
This is a brass inlay, and you can see I did that on the top also.
oh, very
Yeah,
cool.
and can you see? Can you make out the leather? And so it's the three different textures. It's kind of like old world metal, leather, and wood.
Very nice. I like
Yeah.
that.
This one I did in wow 5 years ago.
Very nice.
Yeah, thanks.
And so the wood you use, do you like where do you source that from?
For a lot of wood turners, many of them live in cities, so they're limited to getting their wood from places. And I'm not putting a plug in for them because they're about the only ones that do it. You could order it online and pay transportation, but Windsor plywood, especially in Regina, is really good for wood turners because they bring in wood blanks that are kiln dried and ready to turn from all over the world, exotic woods. And it's expensive, but at least you get that material. So you got to make sure that you make something nice out of that. Otherwise, myself here, living just outside of Riding Mountain, I got access to raw trees, maple, and I have some friends who are arborists, and they keep a lookout for burls for me. Or my favorite are fruit woods like cherry, apple, plum. Those are gorgeous woods to turn.
So what are some of the things you think viewers should know that gives insight into your work and your practice?
I think they should know that if wood turners, like I mentioned before, if they're not able to buy prepared and dried turning blanks from retailers, they have to source their wood from nature. So once they find the types of trees to turn into bowls and such, they have to cut the wood and then treat it with a product which allows the wood to dry without cracking. This drying process can take a year or two or three, depending on how large the prepared logs are. So you have to plan ahead. And like I said before, I'm fortunate to have some friends who are arborists and have better access to other woods that I like the fruit woods. My favorite really is maple burls, and they have coloring and complicated grains, which give excellent results in turnings. A lot of people like the box elder here, which is the Manitoba maple. and it has the red streaks in it, and it's a beautiful wood to work with.
So do you mostly make like bowls, or like what other sorts of like carvings do you do in your practice?
Um, I'll do finials, like mostly they're just vessels and hollow vessels. It's you're kind of limited on a lathe
Fair
as
enough.
to what you can do. It's I guess similar to a potter. You can make platters and cups and bowls, and then apply the finishes after. It's A carver's different. You're unlimited. You could carve what you want out of a block of wood, and I'm not a carver. Some turners incorporate carving in their turnings. I'm not at that stage yet.
Fair enough. That's perfectly fine. Everyone's at a different stage, so there's no
Yeah.
right stage to be at. So what are some of your influences and interests as an artist?
Well, my influences are real artisan wood turner giants. I'll just throw out some names, and they might not mean anything to anybody, but David Ellsworth, Jacques Vessery, Paul Fennell, Cindy Drozda. They're known worldwide in the craft, and I've been fortunate enough to have attended classes where all of them were providing demonstration and sharing their knowledge. One other wood turner I have to mention is Dale Lowe from Regina with the Saskatchewan Wood Turners Guild, as he took me under his wing and provided excellent guidance in the beginning. And I still throw things at him. You're learning all the time.
What do you hope viewers are going to take away from viewing your artwork?
I hope the viewers can appreciate the forms, the grains, the colors that are presented, and know they came from a tree that simply grows in a forest or someone's yard. Other pieces I've worked with were made from more exotic woods from other countries, such as koa from Hawaii, purple heart from Central South America, zebra wood from South Africa, and so on. And like I've alluded to before, if a turner purchased prepared and dried wood blanks, such as maple, oak, walnut from a local supplier, the cost of the wood blank is expensive. Visitors can learn to appreciate that if a piece is made from an exotic imported wood, the finished project may seem a bit pricey, but besides the initial cost of the wood, these items are simply not created in an hour or two. It takes time.
So a labor of love.
Totally, totally. And the finish is the critical thing. You have to create forms that are appealing to people, appealing to the eye.
So one final question here. How has the current pandemic affected you, both in general as well as in regards to your art making?
Well, regarding the hobby, the pandemic has been a good thing in a way that it's given me time to build an inventory that I've been striving to build for a couple of years. These projects take time, and the pandemic has given me that. Regarding me in general, it's fine. I'm fortunate that my wife and I are retired on the doorstep of Riding Mountain National Park, where we love to be. For many, the pandemic is a very unfortunate time in life, and I feel for all of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for meeting with me. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I can't wait to see your work in person in our gallery in the summer of 2021.
I'm looking forward to that too.
I think we all are.
Yeah, yeah.